Hello, everyone, this is CRH Films, and these are the last 5 episodes of the Twisted Metal series. A man with amnesia must deliver a package across the country, fending off police, bandits, and a deranged clown along the way. John brings the rescued Quiet to a nearby cafe. Later, the girl regains consciousness. They start to clarify their relationship, but the argument ends on a rather romantic note. In the morning, Quiet tries to escape unnoticed, but the doorbell reveals the girl's plan and wakes up John. On the street, they notice a strange storm with multicolored lightning approaching them. Such weather forces Quiet to return to the cafe. The duo spends time wisely, playing games and sharing interesting facts about each other. After another session of intimate closeness, John suggests Quiet go to Chicago together. After delivering the package, they can settle in the city and finally live a more or less peaceful life. However, this proposal makes Quiet recall an unpleasant experience. She once tried to become a citizen and signed a contract for 4 years. According to the agreement, they had to work for the citizens, but they treated them like animals, even making decorations from the ears and fingers they cut off from the subordinates. One day, a worker starts a shootout because she was not granted citizenship in a seaside cottage, for which she endured all the humiliation for 4 years. Brother and sister understand that they will most likely be deceived too and get nothing. At night, they kill their masters, and on a stolen hearse, they rush towards a better life. The conversation ends in a quarrel, so John and Quiet sleep in different corners. At night, they bump into each other in the kitchen, where Quiet bursts into emotions. In the morning, John wakes up alone and thinks that his girlfriend has escaped. But going outside, he sees Quiet loading provisions into the trunk. The duo heads to the checkpoint, the city of Chicago. However, upon reaching the destination point, John sees no bridge, only a water barrier around the entire city. Nearby, in a barn, doors open, leading to an underground bunker. There, the sender of the package, Calypso, contacts John. John takes the cargo and sets off to the destination point. On the way, he plans a new route and decides to stop at a special courier bar. Meanwhile, Stone, who miraculously survived, is informed about Sweet Tooth. The deranged clown captures one checkpoint after another and shows no intention of stopping. Sweet Tooth, along with his devoted fans, reaches the psychiatric hospital where he spent almost his entire life for killing a dog with knitting needles. The clown wants to show Stu his room. There, the man stumbles upon 2 skeletons. It turns out to be Sweet Tooth's mother and stepfather. The clown locked them here since his parents never visited him throughout the years spent in the institution. When the apocalypse began, Sweet Tooth found them and brought them here. Smashing the remains of bodies, Sweet Tooth announces that the tour is over. Outside, the duo sees the bodies of their comrades. Stu notices snipers and removes Sweet Tooth from the line of fire. Stone orders Mike and another policeman to finish off the wounded and, on the way back, grab the clown's mask as a trophy. But the men survive. Sweet Tooth kills one policeman, sparing Mike, as he promises to reveal Stone's whereabouts. Meanwhile, John and Quiet reach the bar. There, the girl meets Mary, a top-notch courier and John's ex-girlfriend. Talking is not allowed in the bar about work and bringing weapons. Drinking alcoholic beverages, Quiet learns a lot of interesting things about John's past through conversations. In the evening, on the street, John accidentally slips that this is his last delivery. Mary begins to inquire, and John says that he will receive citizenship for this delivery. When the rest learns about the reward for the delivery, they decide to take it away from John. A significant brawl ensues, involving anything that comes to hand. Quiet and Mary clash in a confrontation, in which John's former girlfriend loses. Quiet decides to show mercy and not kill Mary. However, when she attacks again from behind, Quiet has no choice but to permanently calm the unstable woman down. After the duo leaves, John allows Quiet to take the wheel for the first time. They are unaware that Stone has been informed of their whereabouts, and the police officer is preparing a trap. While John recovers from yesterday's alcohol intake, Quiet finds a burnt photo of John's family. However, the photo flies out of the open window, forcing them to stop for a search operation. Meanwhile, 3 bandits from the righteous group sneak up to the car. John and Quiet kill 2, but the third manages to steal the car. Quiet apologizes for everything, but John silently moves on. Later, they hear a sound coming from the shelter of the righteous. John decides to retrieve his car, but first, they need to return to the slain gang members. To blend in, they must acquire the gang's masks. At midnight, the duo reaches the camp, where chaos and recklessness prevail. Later, the leader, called the preacher, appears. After a fiery speech, gifts are presented, including John's car. The courier, too confident, proposes a duel to win the car from the preacher. Without much effort, the preacher manages to defeat John, ordering to lock the audacious man in a cage. Meanwhile, using a reconnaissance key, Quiet tries to pacify the cultists to steal the car. While the righteous increase the alcohol content in their bodies, Quiet succeeds in freeing John. She suggests getting away, but John does not want to leave his courier. When they discover the mechanic's body, an alarm is raised, Quiet drives away, and John decides to return to his car. The preacher notices him. In the heat of battle, the cultist damages the fuel tank. John again emerges defeated from the confrontation. When the preacher tries to kill John, the car explodes. Quiet witnesses this horrifying scene and decides that John has left this unfair world. But miraculously, he survives. He comes to his senses and finds no one around, only the devastated car. He recalls the day when he was still a teenager, the day he first saw Evelyn, who was his loyal companion for a long time. Meanwhile, Sweet Tooth, together with Stu and captive Mike, clear another outpost of stones. They find supplies and a considerable amount of weapons. When Sweet Tooth goes to pour an unknown substance into the sprayer, Mike tries to convince Stu that they need to get rid of this lunatic. However, Stu does not want to betray his new friend, despite his mental struggles. Stu suggests to Sweet Tooth to forget about Stone and start life anew. However, the clown wants to settle the score with Stone, as he holds a personal grudge against the police officer. Meanwhile, Quiet tries to figure out where to go next. She doesn't notice a dead deer on the road, causing her to fly into a ditch. Later, a strange man approaches her. After a friendly conversation, he directs a gun at the girl and orders her to hand over the package. A phytotherapist comes to her aid, who joined the What's mobile convoy. She shoots the man in the head, thwarting all his efforts. Inside the city on wheels, she meets John, whom she thought was dead. Quiet is offended by him, as the car was more important to him than her, and she does not want to hear his apologies. Watts says they won't go to San Francisco but will get as close to the city as possible. John has only 2 days left to deliver the package. Together with Quiet, they begin to upgrade the new car, fixing the engine, adding armor, and machine guns. While Quiet rests before the journey, John organizes a glove compartment for her axes. They engage in a heartfelt conversation and reconcile. However, the conversation is interrupted by the police, who open fire on the trucks. Watts is informed of 3 dead members. Everyone prepares for a fierce battle. They drive past a wall made of countless cars. Moving forward, the convoy finds nothing but several abandoned cars in the parking lot. Seeing resistance signs on the vehicles, Quiet realizes it's a trap. Everyone is ready for the confrontation. Suddenly, a child's melody is heard from afar, after which rockets explode the cars with cops. It's Sweet Tooth, who, following his heart, also came here. He pours flammable substance on his head and asks Stu to give him a fiery hairstyle. The police officers, Sweet Tooth, John, and Quiet, along with Watts in their upgraded race car, engage in a mesmerizing collision. Even in the midst of this mayhem, the duo finds time to chat with Sweet Tooth and compliment him on his unconventional hairstyle. They also spot Stu, whom they thought was dead, for releasing the criminals. Amidst the chaos, John has to switch places with Quiet to fix the machine gun. Stone begins pursuing the main characters, launching a missile that Watts intercepts at the last moment. Watts maneuvers her car in a full circle on the track, redirecting the missile towards Stone's henchmen. One of the police officers wounds the doctor with the machine gun, and Sweet Tooth released rockets detonate Stone's truck. Mike is displeased with Sweet Tooth shooting at allies and decides to deal with the clown himself. However, the clown seizes Mike and orders Stu to shoot his friend. Instead, Stu shoots the insane clown, and they both jump out of the van. Miraculously, the clown survives. When Stone catches up with Sweet Tooth, he jumps onto the police car's hood. Through the windshield, Sweet Tooth breaks in until he falls off the vehicle. Only the torn mask remains on the asphalt. Meanwhile, Quiet turns around and speeds straight towards Stone. Just before the collision, she lowers the hood, launching Stone into the air like a ramp. The impact causes the duo to lose consciousness. The officer throws Quiet out of the car and aims his gun at her head. Thrown by John, an axe saves the girl's life at the last moment. Quiet refrains from killing the man, leaving a gun with one bullet, letting the officer decide how he wants to exit life. A gunshot is heard a few meters away. Soon, the duo arrives in San Francisco. John manages to deliver the cargo minutes before the deadline. Raven approaches the gate to personally greet the courier. She forbids Quiet from entering the city. The girl takes a gun, begs John to leave without her, and then shoots him. The police give the girl a task, but Quiet throws the cargo to hungry homeless people. Meanwhile, it turns out that the valuable cargo, for which John risked his life, is just ordinary ice cream. A month passes. John has recovered from the gunshot wound, adapted to carefree city life, and even found new friends. However, he cannot forget Quiet, so he decides to leave the city. Raven leads him to the house where John grew up and shows him a photo with his mom, dad, and sister. Despite this, John still wants to leave the city. Raven is forced to use force to make John stay. A tournament between cities is approaching, and John is honored to represent San Francisco, with the delivery being just a test for the driver. Meanwhile, somewhere in the country, Quiet drives over spikes with her car. Armed girls with masks surround the vehicle, and the gang's leader introduces herself as John's sister. This concludes the first season of the series.